Hello and welcome. Thank you for listening. My name is Sarah Baumert. I'm a yoga teacher, Feldenkrais practitioner, and host of the Sarah B. Yoga podcast. The Sarah B. Yoga podcast and my practice, Body Matter, is an interdisciplinary learning space where we explore the many ways that movement can help facilitate body acceptance and awareness, reduce pain and stress, regulate the nervous system, and build strength and ease. My teaching plays with the synthesis of Feldenkrais awareness through movement lessons, traditional yoga asana, creative imagery, breathing exercises, self-massage, and a compassionate mindset to help you feel a greater sense of ease and comfort in yourself. Sarah B. Yoga and Body Matter have a lot of other program offerings. These podcasts are just a taste of my teaching. Each week I teach a range of online classes, including a gentle yoga class, a level 2 class for more advanced students, and Feldenkrais classes with monthly themes, anatomy lessons, and Q&A sessions for more in-depth study. I have 2 new online series offerings for the fall. A Feldenkrais series titled Coming to Your Senses, an exploration of the spaces of the eyes, the mouth, jaw, ears, vocal and breathing apparatus. And my second course, Wakeful Body, the blending of yoga and Feldenkrais on Monday nights. As one student recently described Monday nights, that felt like I just gave myself a massage. So these fall classes will be a continuation of some fan favorite stretching sequences that incorporate bolsters and other props to enhance the poses. There is still plenty of time to join these courses live or via the course recordings. You can find more information about these offerings in the show notes. Okay, on to today's episode. Thank you so much for listening. Hello and welcome to the Sarah B. Yoga podcast. This podcast is an intersection of my yoga teaching and my training in the Feldenkrais method. Today's class is a short Feldenkrais lesson that will be done lying on the back. This simple but effective lesson creates a sense of wholeness and connection from your feet to your head. This lesson is from the Feldenkrais mini lessons course that can be purchased. This self-paced course has 16 mini lessons ranging from 15 to 30 minutes. I chose to offer this course for students wanting to stock up on their library with shorter lessons. The lessons in this course are there for you when you need a shift or interruption of your current state, but don't have a whole hour to spare. I like to think of them as a little bit more than a 5-minute movement snack, but also not the whole buffet, just the right nourishment. More info can be found in the show notes for accessing all of these shorter Feldenkrais lessons. Okay, let's begin. Okay, welcome everyone. Please come and lie on your back. And if you do like to have a little something underneath your head, make sure it's firm, it's flat, and ideally it's just behind your head. It's not completely behind your neck too much. Do have your legs long if that's comfortable. And if that's not comfortable, you could consider taking a blanket and rolling it up, creating some kind of small bolster to put underneath your knees. Great. And as you begin to settle, just noticing the parts of your spine that meet the floor. Beginning by sensing your tail and your sacrum, the base of the spine. And start to scan up your spine to your lower back and notice how comfortable is your lower back? Is it pleasant there? Does it touch the floor or is it a little lifted from the floor? And continuing to scan up the body, noticing the places where you sense ribs meeting the floor, the way that the floor comes up to support the upper back and ribs, and knowing that the ribs, they connect into the spine. So what vertebra can you sense in your upper back touching the floor? Continuing to scan up, noticing the curve, the arch of your neck, sensing the distance or the gap between the back of the neck and the floor. And then notice where the back of the head meets the floor. And very generally, where in your body do you enjoy? And where in your body are you not so settled? Can you find a place in your body that has a lot of pressure from the floor? A place in the body that is feeling that it's touching the floor, a focused pressure. And several times slowly, could you increase the pressure there? So you choose one spot, you increase the pressure of that spot into the floor, and then gradually release it, let it go, and repeat that. So several times slowly increase the pressure there and gradually release it. And you can play with it. Notice if some change in your breath comes to tell you something. Good. Now sense your right arm. What is its shape? How is your right arm rotated? How is it turned? What direction is your palm pointing? Does your palm face the floor? Does it face the ceiling? Does it face somehow towards your body? And very gently give your right arm another option, something that it's not doing. You could turn it a little bit. You might turn it a little bit towards the floor and then wait and let it come back. Gently rotate the length of the arm so that the direction of your palm changes. Notice the tone in your hand. Sometimes when we bring a concentrated attention to a certain place, we notice that the tone is such that maybe it's not fully needed. We don't need quite the amount of tone there. So rotating the arm and playing here, keep changing the pattern. So maybe the arm turns so the palm faces the ceiling, maybe it faces the floor, the body. And sense now the back of your hand as you do this. Feel the moments when the back of the hand comes to touch the floor. And what moments does the back of the hand come closer to the body? And what moments does the back of the hand come farther from the body? Great. And then just drop that, let the hand rest where it chooses, and simply feel, is it resting different than where it was before? And compare for a moment your right arm and your left arm, the way that the two arms feel settled. Compare the sensation of your two hands. And explore for a moment your left arm in the same way. So you can feel the shape of the left arm, the places that it meets the floor where you feel pressure. How does the palm face to begin? And sensing the way that you can rotate the entire length of the arm in order to change the direction that your palm is facing. And you don't need to go far. And really allowing yourself to make choices. How much tone do you need in your neck, your jaw, even your arm to mobilize the arm like this? Great. Let that rest. Notice now how your feet are pointing. Do your feet point directly to the ceiling, or do they open a little bit towards the side walls? Do you sense the two sides are symmetrical, or is one leg falling out a little bit more? Is one foot falling out a little bit more? Maybe you feel the outer side of one leg touches the floor a little bit more. So if you can sense that one leg is a little bit turned outward, that's the leg here you're going to play with. And if you don't feel that, you can simply choose a leg. But the foot or the leg that has the toes that are pointed a little bit further from the midline, whichever leg that is, could you actually encourage that leg to turn out even more? And if needed, the knee might bend a little bit when you do that. Yeah, and so you feel the whole length of the leg gently rotating. Great. And let that go for a moment. Let the leg be where it is. And now with the same leg, could you turn it inward several times? Rotating the whole length of the leg a little bit inward. Of course, you'll feel the back of your heel moving on the floor, rolling a little bit. Great. Now, with this same leg, start to bend the knee and draw the foot towards the pelvis to stand the foot, so that with this leg, the foot is standing, the knee is bent, the knee is pointed towards the ceiling. And notice where you choose to stand your foot. And now see if you can choose another location for your foot. Take the foot a little bit more right or left, a minor change until you say, this is the place. This is the place that feels comfortable. So how far from your pelvis, how close to your pelvis, what's more comfortable? So you're finding what feels both comfortable and what feels like you could stand a leg there and there's a skeletal support. And then stay like that once you've found that place with your foot. And begin to barely increase the pressure of that foot on the floor. So the foot stays where it is. You just barely increase the pressure on the floor. And then you let it go, and you'll repeat that several times slowly. And simply feel how far up into your body you feel the result of pressing a little bit into the floor. Does something change in your pelvis? Or the distance of your lower back from the floor? And does your chest know that the foot is pressing? Does your upper back, your chest, know that your foot is giving a little press into the floor? Good. And again, gently explore a different location for your foot. And you're looking for the place that when you ground the foot into the floor, your chest knows about it. So play for a moment, explore for a moment a few different places with your foot. So you can sense what kind of a different response your chest has, depending on where you've placed your foot. Good. And leave that foot in a comfortable place. And again, you can always change it, but you find this comfortable place and again, anchor the foot into the floor. And as you do that, as you give a little push into the floor, could you shift the pressure so it's a little bit more towards the metatarsals, towards the ball of the foot rather than the heel? And this time, as you give that little pressure into the floor, notice if the chin can respond. Just observe the distance of your chin from your throat. And this pressure into the floor, it can be so subtle. Does the distance of your chin to your chest shift in response to your foot giving this little bit of pressure into the floor? Does your chin move a little higher away from your chest, or does it go down? Great. Now, keeping the foot standing, bring one hand behind your neck. So you take one hand, the palm will be like a cup or like a hammock, touching the back of your neck. So choosing whichever arm, whichever shoulder would appreciate doing this, and playing with maybe your elbow points towards the ceiling, maybe your elbow's a little bit wider, whatever feels good for your shoulder. But the palm is really gently cupping the back of the neck. The little finger is close to the base of the skull, and the thumb is closer to the base of the neck. Now, gently invite the fingers to get a little closer to each other, almost like you're dragging the tissues of the neck with them, like you're shortening the distance between the fingers. And you might even sense that as you do that, you make the back of the neck a little shorter. And then very gently drag the fingers a little away from each other. So this is very, very small. You feel maybe there's a small distance between the fingers, and you gently drag the fingers towards each other, shortening the back of the neck a little bit, feeling that the neck might even move into a slight arch away from the floor as the fingers come together. And then you separate the fingers a little bit. So there's just a little bit more space from the fingers, and the back of the neck lengthens into the support of your hand. And so you'll do this several times slowly and see if every time you bring the fingers a little closer to each other, can you do it on a breath out? And every time the fingers separate from each other, can you breathe in? So the fingers come a little closer to each other, and you have this sense that almost like the neck arches a little. You breathe out, and then you separate the fingers and feel the back of the neck lengthen as you breathe in. So several times the hand maneuvers the neck like this. As you breathe out, let the fingers teach the back of the neck to shorten and perhaps lift a little. The chin might come away from the throat. And every time you inhale, the fingers separate, the back of the neck becomes a little bit longer. Great. Can you bring that hand down and try with the other hand? If there's some reason you don't want to try with the other hand, you can stay with the same hand behind the neck. And just start first by feeling how the fingers can be so sensitive, and taking the fingers, sliding them a little towards each other as if you're gathering the tissues of the back of the neck, and then gently widen the fingers a little bit from each other as if to lengthen the back of the neck. And we'll play with reversing the correlation of the breath. So now, every time the fingers come a little closer to each other, you inhale, the neck shortens. And every time you breathe out, the fingers separate from each other, the back of the neck lengthens, it moves a little towards the floor. And feel how you might be able to be more subtle. You can make the movement smaller. You're touching the neck in a way that feels pleasant and supportive. Feeling the presence of your hand, the intelligence of your hand. Great. Now place your hand down and just allow your mouth to open the smallest bit. And once more, ground the standing foot into the floor. Give a little bit of pressure of your standing foot into the floor. And see now where the transmission of pressure reaches into your body. And see is the neck a part of it? What's the choice of your neck? When you increase the pressure, does the chin move a little away from the chest, or does it move a little towards the chest? Good. And whatever you're finding, however you sense that the chin, the neck moves in correlation with your foot pushing into the floor, can you change the pattern? Could you reverse what you do? Could you do the opposite? So first you have to sense what it is that you already do. You feel, what's the response of the neck when you give a little pressure of the foot into the floor? Imagining what it was like when you had your hand back there, moments where the neck arched a little bit, moments where the back of the neck got a little longer. Great. Let it go and slide your foot down until your leg is long. And just keep the leg long. Both arms are resting on the floor. Both legs are long. And notice now, how do you experience the pressure points, the way the floor comes up to meet you, contact of the pelvis to the floor, the shoulder blades, how they meet the floor. Slowly turn both arms a little inward and outward, feeling the moments where the palms turn towards the ceiling and down towards the floor. Good. Feeling the way the fingers touch the floor, kind of brushing of the fingers on the floor. And if you imagine yourself rolling to your side, if you imagine you're going to roll to your side, which direction do you imagine you'd roll to? And so you decide which side that is. And begin to turn yourself, begin to organize yourself in that direction, turning the legs, turning the head. Maybe one arm kind of moves across the body for you to roll to your side, bringing you to your side. And turning the face towards the floor as much as is pleasant as you come to your side, turning the head until the face looks down into the center of the earth. And then without lifting anything, could you roll back onto your back, rolling, melting, sort of feeling yourself spreading back onto your back? Yeah, Phil, what do you need to lift? Do you need to lift, or can you really just roll and come back onto your back? So try this to the same side. And notice, can you do this rolling to the side without lifting, without the sense that you need to pick up your body? So you sense the weight of your limbs sliding, the skeleton turning the head, turning the face, whatever amount is pleasant, turning the face towards the floor, like you're gazing into the center of the planet. And then you roll yourself back onto your back. Noticing your breath as you do this. Great. Turning it one more time, just playing with the quality. Great. And moving with this quality that you're finding, slowly start to come up to sit. Moving in a way that the continuity is not broken. So you come up to sit and bring yourself to stand. And just simply appreciate coming to the vertical. Noticing the way you arrive, the tone. There's been a small state change or change of attitude. And then let your eyes open if they're closed and just walk a little bit and sense the moment that one foot meets the floor. Of course, as you're walking, it's one foot and then the next meets the floor. Just what's the sense in your neck? The moment that you feel a step of pressure of one foot stepping forward into the floor. Just feeling the connection of the way that the foot finds support from the floor up into your neck. You might feel that your head even bobs, or your chin. You have a sense that your chin Certain moments moves away from the chest, moves towards the chest. Great. Are you enjoying this podcast? I've chosen to offer these audio recordings freely for over 15 years. I do this because research shows yoga, yoga nidra, and Feldenkrais to be valuable practices, those which I would like to share widely. Dana, the Buddhist practice of generosity, has always been a pillar of my business. And more generally, Dana is the inclination to give without expecting any form of repayment. It does, however, take a fair amount of time, effort, and cost to maintain and keep the podcasts available. If you feel you've benefited from what you've learned from these classes, then please do consider making a contribution towards the maintenance and upkeep of the classes. It will help ensure that I can continue to offer the podcast classes freely and keep generating new material. Give what you can, give what feels good. If it's too little, it won't feel good. If it's too much, it won't feel good. Links to support the show monetarily can be found in the show notes. And other ways to give include sharing the podcast with others, leaving a 5-star rating and review, or just sending me an email with how the classes have affected you. Thanks so much.